Welcome to all Caribbean entrepreneurs. If you've been ready and waiting to take your business digital and get paid online while you sip something strong on the beach, this podcast is for you. We'll hear from the Caribbean's finest entrepreneurs on topics like e-commerce, business development, brand building, social media, their wins and failures. This is the only place in the region helping you navigate the digital age from the Caribbean's perspective. This is Digipreneur FM. And now, let's give it up for the Digiboss himself, Mr. Karan Rose.
Thank you to everybody tuning in to another episode of the Digipreneur FM podcast. And it is your boy, Mr. Karan Rose. DJ, cut the beat. Fade me out, DJ. How are you beautiful people doing on this Sunday afternoon? Actually, it's morning. We're going into the afternoon. But by the time we are done recording this episode, it'll be the afternoon. How you guys been? For me, I have been easing my way into 2022. I think this is one of the first years in some time where the new year starts, and I mean, I don't really subscribe to the new year, new me, but the reality is that, you know, once the new year comes out, we know that the second week of January, companies come back out and everybody's getting ready to work their new plan for the new year. And you kind of just fall into that as well. So, you know, I work with companies, I work with entrepreneurs. Everybody's trying to get, you know, things on stream, and my phone or my email start to blow up, you know, come that second week of January. And for 2022, 16 days in, I've really been just kind of relaxed and just chilling and not doing too much. Because boy, oh boy, I think going into year 3 of this pandemic, I think it is finally starting to, you know, it's starting to wear on me a little bit, you know. So this January, I've really just been kind of taking my time, and I think this year I'm at a real crossroads between wanting to go super hard, because there are so many opportunities, there are so many new things happening that if you are early to the party on a lot of the things that are happening, these things are life-changing. They're generational changing. You're seeing people making some really interesting money in the space of, you know, crypto, NFTs. We have, you know, the rumblings of the metaverse is going to be coming our way. And right now, if you're not learning everything you possibly can about some of these spaces, you know, again, you're going to be behind. However, 3 years into a pandemic, like I was going to say, I'm at that crossroads between wanting to go super hard, wanting to read everything, watch everything, be in all the discussions, facilitate, you know, the discussions, and just do so much. And at the same time, I'm like, boy, you gotta pace yourself. I have never in my life experienced burnout. I've never felt overwhelmed or exhausted. And the main reason for me is that I have just been, I've always listened to my body. I've always listened to my intuition. If I felt like I needed to not work, if I felt like I needed to slow down, I've just done it. I've never given two thoughts about it. I would literally wake up. I would go and I'd go drink some tea for the morning, and I'd be like, yeah, this is not a working day. And I go watch a movie, or I go do something else. Like, I'm not even thinking about it. I just go do something else, right? And that for me intuitively has really helped me from ever feeling like I was ever getting to that point of being burnt out or feeling overwhelmed. Sure, I've had periods where I've been pensive and kind of just in thought about the direction of what I want to do, and in that time space, you know, I haven't really done anything. And I've just been kind of all over the place, in my own head or whatever. But it was really because, at times I've just been, thinking about, what do I want to do next? What's the direction? And just taking that time to think about, what I'm trying to do. But this year is the first time where I was like, yo, I can actually feel it. I can feel like I have some mortality this year. And I don't want to test my mortality. And I'm talking about, in the business sense and in the wanting to push and do the most and yada, 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 right? I'm talking about feeling like, I've always felt to this point like I could just go. I felt like there was nothing that could stop me. I felt immortal in this space, right? I could just go. When I want to break, I take a break, don't even think about it, and I just keep on going, right? But I would take my breaks. I'm not saying, or I'm not advocating for you to go. I am saying that I would push, but instinctively I knew when I did not want to work, I don't work. I just go do something else, right? But I never felt like I needed to, take a break or whatever. But now this year, I'm really in that space where I'm like, yo, you got to pace yourself. You really have to pace yourself this year because, things are feeling heavy. This year is going to require you to move at a kind of pace where, go when you can go, really rest when you can rest, do other things that have nothing to do with making money or business, and get your mind right. This year really is about, health and wellness, getting your mind right, pacing yourself because, again, we have no idea when this pandemic is going to be over. We have no idea when it's going to be over, and we have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring or how things a month from now are going to look. So, folks, I'm really just saying, pace yourself this year. When you can go, push, press. When you feel like you need to relax, you listen. Listen to your body. Listen to that inner voice, that intuition. If you feel like you need to rest. This year, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of ourselves because we got people to take care of. And we are no good to anybody if we are not good. Whether that is physically, emotionally, mentally, doesn't matter. Take care of yourself, and really that's going to be the name of this year. Pace yourself. Again, we have no idea what is going to happen this year. So that's my little message for getting this thing started. Anyways, Digipreneur fam, we're here. We have a beautiful episode today. Today's topic is brand ambassadors. Did I say ambassadors? Brand ambassadors. To be or not to be one. That is the question. All right? To be one, not to be one. If you are a business and you have been thinking about, working with brand ambassadors, is this something that you should be doing? We're going to be talking about that today. All right. And I think it's a good time to kind of dive back into it because right now, the name of the game is content. And even a lot of the business owners are pushing and making a ton of content. But even as a business owner, you could still be contacted by other brands who want you to become a part of their strategy. And there may be some synergies for you guys to form an alliance. And that brand might have you down as a brand ambassador or an influencer. And you guys are going to hear me. When I talk about brand ambassadors, I'm also talking about influencers. They're pretty much one and the same. I'll be using those things interchangeably. All right. You as a business owner who is creating content, you might be contacted by other companies that want you to become a part of their strategy, their business development and marketing strategy, and want you to be a brand ambassador for them. And some of you guys might be thinking, well, should I be a brand ambassador if I'm also a business owner? And you have to think about that very differently than the people that you see who are just, creating random content for shits and giggles on social media when they, get tapped to be brand ambassadors for, a few different reasons, and we're going to cover that in today's episode. The thought process of whether they say yes or no is completely different than if you are a business owner and you have been contacted to be a brand ambassador or, to have a strategic alliance with another brand. The things that you got to think about are a bit differently. We're going to be kind of touching on that a bit as well. All right. So now, there's mucho fanfare when you see some of your favorite creators or popular people announce that they are now the brand ambassador for a bigger brand. It signifies that they have reached, that they are seen, that they are validated, that they are chosen. And when you see your friends become brand ambassadors, the first thing you say the first thing you say to yourself is,
Boom, bang, bang, come in.
boom, bang, bang. You drop bombs. You want to shout out. It's a big thing on social media. Like, oh my God, I know that man. I know that woman. They are the new brand ambassador for said company. They have arrived. They are seen. They are validated. And there's a million congratulations when those announcements, when they happen, right? So in this episode, I'm going to be diving into the role of brand ambassadors in today's business landscape. Why you should, as a business, use them, and why you should think of becoming one if you meet the requirements, or why you should stay away from it altogether. So first, for those of you who might not know what a brand ambassador is or an influencer is, what is a brand ambassador? Well, a brand ambassador is defined as a person, especially a celebrity, who is paid to endorse or promote a particular company's products or services. Now, even in the definition, even when they say celebrity, a lot of the YouTube people are celebrities now too. A lot of YouTubers and content creators are celebrities now too. When you look at guys like the Paul brothers, Jake and Logan Paul, Marquise Brownlee, these guys are, solidified stars, right? They are solidified stars. So, again, popular people who are content creators on YouTube, or they have popular blogs or podcasts, like a Joe Rogan. These guys are celebrities, and these guys are celebrities as well, right? So they are paid to endorse or promote a particular company's products or services. Now, why would a company want to work with a brand ambassador, or why has this become an important strategy for their business? Let's look at a couple of reasons. Brand ambassadors humanize your brand. Brand ambassadors humanize your brand. We know that in today's age, people buy from people and don't want to buy from faceless brands. We want to know that companies kind of stand for something, and a quick way to do that is, to align yourself with the correct people. Brand ambassadors are able to connect in their own unique ways, and this gives the brand more opportunities to expand on the perception of their brand. You know how they say you could tell more about a person based on their friends? Well, the same applies for brands. The right ambassadors help with their appeal, their perception, and also the direction of the company. So when a company, if they want to get into, let's just say they launch a product that has, medical benefits, they're going to figure out, who are some wellness influencers that they can use, who is talking about some of the problems that their product or service aims to solve. What is their following like? What is their engagement like? What does their community look like? What type of, platforms or assets does that influencer have to their name that they can create some sort of synergy with and have a strategic alliance with? Does the person have an email list, a website list, a text message list? What does their social media things look like? So those are things that they'd be looking for, right? And again, that would help them aligning with that wellness coach. Again, if they have a product or service that solves a particular problem, aligning with the right ambassador can help them penetrate into certain markets in certain countries, or get the word out, or again have a credible source that is seen as a credible source. Align with them to tap into that audience. So it really is a synergy and a partnership, right? Ambassadors can showcase how the brand's products or services are used in their personal or business lives to achieve a desire or to solve a problem. This allows for the audience to see all of the various ways that the products or services can be used. This ultimately helps with the buying process, especially if these ambassadors are really, really credible people. All right? Companies may use ambassadors to build awareness of their company by using those with large or highly engaged followings. Brands also use micro-influencers because they tend to have a closer relationship to their audience and can also be subject matter experts with high credibility. Ambassadors are also used to drive traffic to a platform or sales for the business through their own platforms like their websites, and that they can provide the coveted backlinks. That also helps with search rankings for brands, and this is a great inbound strategy. And essentially what a backlink is let's just say a brand has their website and me, the influencer, has my own website. If I am talking about one of their products or services, if I embed a link going to that company's product or service or their website, that would be classified as a backlink, and that's a key metric that the search engines use in order to rank a business's website or anybody's website. The more backlinks that a business has, the more people that are linking back to that website shows their authority. Clearly, they're creating products and services that are worth being talked about, and they are going to reward you by increased ratings on their search algorithms, and that's going to be a good way for you to be able to show up on page one consistently for things concerning your platform. All right. Overall, it's a great strategy using brand ambassadors, aka influencers, right? It's a great strategy. The key is to select the right ambassadors that can help significantly grow your brand's awareness, your digital footprint, lead generation, and sales. Depending on your campaign, the right ambassador or influencer will help you achieve those results. Now let's look at the other side of it. Why would someone want to become a brand ambassador or an influencer? Well, for starters, it greatly improves your personal brand. It shows validation of your work. A brand has asked to join into a partnership with you to represent their brand in your own unique way. You're also going to get to work with some of your favorite companies. And this is one of the best reasons to be a brand ambassador. You get to work with some of your favorite companies. This alone attracts most ambassadors or influencers to a company. A company, think about it, a company that you have been following, reviewing, using in your own personal capacity, wants to give you more access. They want to give you products. They want to invite you to private events, and they want to pay you. This is nothing but wins. This is a dream for a lot of people, right? Being able to work with some of these amazing companies that you have grown up with. All right. Or again, even if it's a new company and you haven't grown up with them, you might see this company and love their mission, love their products, love what they are about, love their culture, love what they stand for. And for you to be able to create things in your own capacity that a brand looks at and says, hey, I see synergy. I see alignment. I think you would be a great fit for what we are trying to accomplish, and we would like you to be a part of this journey with us. that is a huge win. That is a huge win because it also allows you as the influencer. It not only gives you the validation, it's going to give you, resources or access to resources, it's going to give you money, but you're also going to be able to get a partner that is going to help you do what you are doing even better, all right? In all of this, you get to build your network. You start attracting more to your community and also begin attracting other companies as well who are seeing your work and want you to work with them as well. If you are brand yourself, if you brand yourself right, and you put the right structure around yourself or your business, you may be able to turn a brand ambassador gig into a full-time thing. So let's just say, okay, you're not a business owner, you're just a content creator. If you're creating content in a particular niche and, you have been working on, growing your following and you're monetizing through either YouTube, AdSense, maybe you're doing affiliate marketing or you're selling products, or you're white labeling products, however you're doing it, right? But you're making some money doing your own thing, doing that. And maybe you have a full-time job alongside. But now if you create the right structure around you, if you put things in place for brands to work with you, they might be giving you more than enough money and opportunity where you can now leave your job and focus on what you are doing and creating full-time. If you are a business owner, right? Now, as a business, you should be creating content, right? In 2022, no business should not be creating content. Everybody should be creating content for their business because content marketing is the number one form of marketing right now, right? So if you have a business and another brand is reaching out to you saying, hey, we would love to work with you. We would want to partner with you to do X, Y, and Z initiatives or, you look that over and that could be another source or stream of revenue coming into your brand as well. So you definitely, even if you are a business owner and you're creating content, you're going to get those calls from other brands who want to have strategic partnerships with you. And then that is another amazing source of revenue to be able to monetize your intellectual property and bring that money into your brand, okay? Now, whilst all of this makes sense, and this is how it should work regularly, as a mutual partnership between a company and ambassador/influencer, we are still stuck at level 1 here in the Caribbean region, which makes this almost a no-win situation for everybody involved in the long run. And, let's talk about it. Let us talk about it, all right? Some of the core problems that brands and ambassadors continue to do or continue to experience here in the Caribbean are things like this. Number one, the brands themselves haven't set up the necessary tools or infrastructure within their own business and their digital footprint to even track the success of a campaign with an influencer. A lot of the brands don't have websites for them to, be able to capture data or send traffic to. Many of them who do have websites aren't even set up for e-commerce or, they're not able to use discount codes because they're not set up for e-commerce, nor do they even have an email list so that they can begin capturing emails so that they can start to own the relationships with their potential audience members, right? So when you don't have these things in place as a business, you're already starting off on the wrong foot because you've already limited what type of results you can get from working with a brand ambassador or influencer, right? Businesses aren't aware of the various types of campaigns, so they only focus on awareness. Folks, there are so many different ways that you could create strategic partnerships and execute more ways to grow your business than just focusing on awareness because you just don't know any better or you don't have any of the other things in place. So because they don't have any of the necessary infrastructure in place, and they're only focusing on, awareness, and awareness just looks like, you paying somebody to shout out your brand and, again, just drawing awareness to who your brand is and what you guys do, right? This leads them to only work with people with high followings and have them shout their brand business out in their content and just hope for the best. And I say hope for the best because they don't have any of the infrastructure to track or measure how well even the awareness campaigns are going, all right? If your brand doesn't have a website or the influencer doesn't have one either, you miss out on one of the most coveted things on the internet, and that's backlinks. They are critical in building your overall digital footprint since the search engines check to see how many websites are referring back to your website in order to help rank your authority level online. The influencers selected usually also have zero relation to the company's mission, products, or services. The only thing they have to offer a brand is access to their audience, which you, as the influencer, should be protecting at all costs. A brand is going to survive after they have used you and milked you for everything. You, however, you would have lost all of your credibility. So the more brands you continue to work with and give them access to your audience, and you keep on promoting, and you just become a walking billboard, you lose your credibility, which is the reason why these brands work with you in the first place. All right. Another reason that these things don't always work out well in the Caribbean is because companies also continue to use the exact same people as their competitors. Like, bruh. What? How are you guys doing this? Why are you guys using the exact same influencers as your competitors? That doesn't make any sense. That shows a major lack of creativity from the marketing and from a strategy standpoint, from the businesses, and it erodes the credibility of the ambassador as well. As they just come off as people who will do anything, say, or promote anything for money. The bond between an influencer and their audience is built on trust, ladies and gentlemen. And the audience trusts the influencer not to sell them anything that does not make any sense. Now, I'll give you guys a good example of this because this is something that happened recently and there was a lot of, online attention to it. And it's still kind of fresh in my memory. So a good example of this is popular influencer Certified Samson. Certified Samson is a good people's. That's my dog, right? But I'm going to use him as an example. So he was working with KFC and here in Trinidad and Tobago, and that franchise is held with the company Prestige Holdings. He then recently jumped over to Popeyes, which falls under competing brand Restaurant Holdings Limited. Now, why would Restaurant Holdings think that Samson is a good fit when he was just screaming KFC for the previous year? Samson is not a foodie. He's not a food reviewer. He's not a chef. So there's no strategic purpose for them to say we needed to get Samson. There's no strategic benefit outside of the fact that he has a large audience. That's it. He was just screaming to the world for however long, KFC is the best chicken in the world. Right? No problem. But then you guys go and decide that it would be a good idea to use him now as a brand ambassador for you guys. Now I could have understood a little bit if the franchises were held under one company. Like if KFC and Popeyes, if the franchises were being held under one company, then I could kind of understand, but still, it doesn't look good, right? Because at the end of the day, the audience doesn't see a Restaurant Holdings versus Prestige Holdings. They see KFC versus Popeyes. If you're promoting KFC, you can't come a week later and tell us that Popeyes is the best chicken. You look crazy, all right? Now, the minute he made the announcement, he said he found the better chicken. Almost every response under the post that he did, everybody was responding with, well, what? What happened to KFC? Weren't you just telling us that KFC was the best chicken a week ago? And that was almost every single comment. What happened to KFC? I thought KFC was the best chicken. Now, in that moment, you already see the conflict. People believed you when you said that KFC was the best chicken. They obviously looked at it like, you as the influencer, that was your personal choice. That was your personal choice that, you're working with KFC, you're the brand ambassador, and you love their chicken so much that you're the brand ambassador, right? So no problem with that. But then the minute you switch sides and you go over to Popeyes and now you're saying, Popeyes is the best chicken, the audience already says to themselves, okay, well, either, you're clearly doing this for the money, because it's not like you did not know Popeyes didn't exist. Popeyes has been around, right? And for you to switch from advocating for one company and come right next to now advocate for another company, the audience already says to themselves that we just can't trust you. You were just saying this company had the best chicken. Now you're saying that this company has the best chicken. And everybody loses in that situation. Everybody loses. So yes, Popeyes is still going to now, they're in a contract with Samsung, so he still has to create content, and Popeyes will get some views from it. But the reality is that Samsung's audience is his audience. They're in tune with him and what he does. They love him for him. But now we can't trust him on his food, on his taste of food, because he was just selling us one thing and now he's selling us the next. And the minute you start to cast that kind of doubt into your audience will just start to question you from that point onwards. So if you come out now and you say, hey, go and buy this piece of clothing or go buy this car, you've already lost our trust, or you at least make us doubt. Because for one, you're not a foodie, you're not a chef. So, we already don't look at you for food advice. And the fact that you're willing to just take a payment to promote a brand, all of that just creates doubt in the audience. But ultimately, what that does is that creates friction in the buyer's journey. Because remember, the point of working with an influencer or brand ambassador is to help minimize the friction with selling. Right? That's the overall point. We're using your influence to influence a sale. And you have a relationship with these people. So if it's coming out of your mouth, then the chances are higher for these people to purchase our products and services. The minute you as the influencer start to lose that credibility and trust, you now make it harder for the buyer. The buyer is no longer just going to trust your word, which again is the overall purpose for a brand to work with you, right? The audience is now going to say, okay, well, he was just selling KFC, now he's selling Popeyes. Let me go look at somebody else's opinion. Let me go look elsewhere. Let me go find somebody else's opinion. Let me go check somebody else out who has an unbiased opinion, who maybe is a chef and they're doing a better breakdown of the chicken. And then the influence goes over to that person. Or maybe they don't buy just because, again, they see that, well, I can't just trust your word. Right? So all of that places more friction in the buyer's process. And that's why, brands really have to be strategic with who they work with and who they align themselves with. And this is why you should not just be going to go and scoop up somebody else's influencer. It doesn't just work like that, right? There are ways to do that. There are ways that people can work with multiple brands, But when people have just been straight up advocating for a product for you to go and buy, chances are you should leave those people alone, and not bring them over to your team. All right. So if you are someone who has been deciding on whether to become a brand ambassador or not, here are some things that you should be thinking about. All right, I'm going to give you guys 5 tips, 5 things you guys should be thinking about. Number 1, if you want to become a brand ambassador, you have that following, you have that platform, people are starting to reach out to work with you. One of the things that you should be looking at, and this is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing. Number 1, you should look for strategic alliances. Companies that you could work with that work within your niche or have a cause that you believe in. Look for strategic alliances because, again, the whole purpose of a brand working with you is to help them alleviate the stress in their buying process, in their buyer's journey, right? If you are working with companies who you have no strategic alliance with, when people see your content that you're putting out, people are just going to look at it first skeptically. And they're going to be like, well, who is this person to recommend this product? All right. Sure, your piece of content might be funny, but who are you to say whether this is good or whether this is bad when you have no history in that respective space? So again, same thing, like going back to Samsung. I'm going to eat KFC. The audience is going to eat KFC or Popeyes regardless. Like whether Samsung promoted one or the other just never mattered because we don't see Samsung as a foodie, a food blogger, food critic, a chef, anything to do with food. He's just a regular human that likes chicken, all right? And he eats chicken. But that's no different from me or anybody else, right? So we don't look at him for that type of advice. There's no strategic alliance or benefit other than he has a large following and the companies want access. But again, when you continue to give access to companies, you lose your credibility, all right? So you should be looking for companies that you have strategic alliances with that help you continue to grow your niche or a cause that you believe in. That way, when people see you working with them, they're like, oh, that makes sense. And when you put out the content or you execute on an initiative with them, it makes sense. It helps to alleviate that stress during the buyer's process, right? The second thing that you should be looking at of whether you should become a brand ambassador is, and I'm going to harp on this just a little bit more, make sure there's alignment. Most of the companies reach out to you only if you have a following for their own purposes and don't care whether you lose your audience in the process, right? So make sure that there is alignment with anything that you do, with whatever the campaign is, with the companies. Make sure that there's alignment because what happens is, right, I'll give you guys a good example from my girl Terry Carell out in Jamaica, right? Terry Carell is a mother, has a daughter. Her daughter is like 11 years old, right? And a company selling Pampers reached out to her to say, yo, we want you to promote our Pampers. And she's like, how would that make sense? How is that of a benefit to you guys? How is that of a benefit to my audience? My audience is grown, is grown women and whatnot, but it's not something that I talk about. I don't talk about babies and whatnot. But she just did not find there was any alignment for what they were trying to push. So if she comes out now and says, hey guys, Pampers, right? Because it's not like she has a newborn baby where it makes sense. It would just come off as, she is getting the bag. It just comes off as just getting the bag at that particular point in time. So people who are really methodical about building their brands, they're going to look at all these things, right? Now, if that same brand were to come to her, seeing her pregnant, then she would feel like this is an aligned decision at her point in time that would make sense for her and her audience, and she could talk about it, especially because she lives life and documents it. She doesn't create a life for social media. Terry lives her life and documents the snippets of her life, right? So she's not going to talk about something that she isn't going through or hasn't gone through, if it really does not make sense, right? So that, again, that's just an example. Now you could argue that, well, she could do it and whatever, but at the end of the day, an influencer or brand ambassador needs to know when to say no and what's going to make sense for where they're trying to go and what they're trying to build. If it's not a good look for you right now, it doesn't mean that it won't be a good look for you in the future. But again, you need to have a strict hold on who you allow access to your audience, right? Third thing you should be taking a look at is try to avoid only creating ads for a brand. If you are only creating ads, you are essentially advocating for their products, and your audience will hold you accountable to the products that you talk about. Plus, when your contract is done, it's going to be harder to work with companies, especially in smaller markets like the Caribbean, since you might have worked with their competitors, or even, and this happens, you might have worked for a company where the marketers themselves on the teams know the other marketers in the other companies that you have worked with, and they might have personal issues with those people in those companies. And humans are humans. You have situations where they just don't look at you simply because they don't like somebody that you have worked with personally, and not even the whole company, just the people that work for the marketing company behind that brand. And this is some of the things that happen in a smaller market, right? So you need to really, really be careful of, the type of things that you're creating, right? Really, really don't focus on only doing ads. So if every time I see you promoting this brand, it's, oh, hey, go out and get this drink. Hey, go out and buy this food. Hey, go out and buy. At some point it just gets, you become a walking billboard. Your audience loses interest. You lose credibility when you start jumping from brand to brand to brand. Because again, it looks like you're only doing this for the money. And this, I should not listen to you because I only know that you're only doing this for the money. All right. So be careful to not only do ads when you're working with brands. Try to find initiatives that you guys can do. So I've worked with multiple brands in the exact same niche, but I've never done an ad. Everything that I've done was an initiative. And there's a big difference as to how your audience views the initiatives that you guys are creating and the partnerships that you are building to help them with something than if you're just running around telling everybody buy. Right? Which leads me to point number 4 is that you should try to create initiatives of brand. That way you don't have to outright create ads, and that makes it easier for you to work with other brands after your deal is up with them. So a couple of companies that I've worked with in the same space has been like B-Mobile, Digicel, Huawei, Samsung. I was able to do it because I focused on education and creating win-win initiatives with everybody. I didn't need to create an ad and straight up advocate for a product. So my audience would always follow me because I was teaching. And they see my partnerships as alliances to give them the best environments for them to learn in. All right. Number 5, the 5th thing, learn to say no. Sure, you might be turning down the money today, but if you say yes to every brand and your only determining factor is money in the decision, whether or how much money a brand is going to pay you, then you would have burnt out your brand within a very short span of time and make yourself a hard sell for companies to work with you after. Companies are becoming more calculated on their ad spend, so you don't want to give them any more reasons for them to say no to you, right? If they've seen that you've worked with all these brands and you just out here running around promoting, any marketer worth their salt is going to say this is not a good look for our brand. It's not aligned for our brand, because at the end of the day, the marketers have to protect the company, right? And if bringing you on board creates friction in the buyer process and it's not a good look, or is not a good look on the perception of that brand, then it's a no. So again, you as the brand ambassador need to learn to say no and not work with every goddamn company. All right. Now, for businesses looking to work with ambassadors, here are a couple of tips for you. Number one, make sure the people you work with are aligned. These people are an extension of your brand, and you best keep that at the top of your mind. When we, the audience, see random people who have nothing to do with your industry promoting your products, it creates anxiety in the sales process. We don't know the person or their knowledge level in this niche. Why are they telling me to buy your product? Make sure these people are aligned. It also shows your incompetence in developing your brand when you're, putting round pegs in square holes, or the saying. If you can't put the right pieces around your mission or around your business to support your mission, it's going to ruin your perception, and it ultimately creates friction in the buyer process. So make sure that anybody you work with is aligned and not just random people because they have a following. We've seen so many things. We've seen people who, I remember seeing Crazy Legs. Crazy Legs is a dancer. Why is Crazy Legs working with a hardware store to sell PVC piping, right? Again, I'm not going to buy PVC piping because of Crazy Legs. It doesn't work like that, right? The hardware store could have found influencers who are handyman or create things and shown how their products could be used in a very creative manner. There's so many ways to do this rather than just get somebody who has a following, who has nothing in no way, shape, or form related to your space to bring them on board to promote your company and products, right? Shouldn't do that. Stay away from that. Number two, have the infrastructure to get more than just brand awareness on social media. You want to have things like e-commerce set up so that influencers can use discount codes or affiliate links to help you generate sales. Have a CRM in place to capture data like your emails and be able to see which specific influencer is driving traffic to your platforms. Getting a group of people to shout out your business on socials and not having any idea as to how your following has grown or who it is attributed to is not a winning strategy, okay? If you have 10 influencers and they're all shouting out your products and you have no way of tracking who has done what or who is generating the most leads or sales for you, or even, again, helping you get the most follows, if you don't have any of the tools in place to track that, how do you know who and what is working for you, right? So you want to make sure you have the proper infrastructure in place to track the campaigns that you guys are doing. The third thing, look for influencers who have websites and can offer you backlinks. So one of the things that influencers should be doing is have your own platform so you can offer the brands more real estate that allows them to track their campaigns, right? And a key thing is websites, right? So that you can embed links to products or services on your website. Those backlinks help the brands grow their digital footprint on search engines, right? So again, the more backlinks and the more traffic that you're driving to their platform, all of that helps the brands' digital platforms grow, and they can all track those things, right? And they are metrics used by the search engines to rank for authority. So look for influencers who have websites, and influencers, you guys should all be getting your websites done because that is additional real estate that you could use as a bargaining chip to get more money. All right. Number 4, think twice about using the same influencers as your direct competitors. It does more harm than good overall. Both you and the influencer lose credibility in the process, and then what's the point? All right. So, what do you think? Will your business be using brand ambassadors or influencers in your business development and marketing strategies? Let me know. Are you building a community and have been asked to become a brand ambassador yourself for a company, but not sure if you should? Then I hope this episode helped you determine if you should become a brand ambassador or not, and if you are a company, when you should use them and how. All right. This is something that we don't see companies in the Caribbean get right, nor do we see the influencers themselves getting this thing right, because we just see them taking the bag. They're doing it for the money, and half of these people are not getting paid. They're just getting free products. But again, if you continue to, promote, and you show that, you really don't have a credible bone in your brand, and you're just doing this all for the money or the clout or for products, then you lose influence. You lose the ability to influence, which is the reason why this whole thing works. Without the ability to influence a purchasing decision, then you offer nothing. All right. I hope this episode really shed some light on the topic. Let me know in the comments. You guys can always reach out to me if you guys have any questions about this episode. Don't forget, if you are not following me over on social media right now, you guys can go check out Karen Rose on any social media platform. I'm most active on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I'm going to be more active on TikTok, so you guys can check me out on those platforms as well. You guys could always email me if you guys need to get in contact with me or send me a DM. Don't forget to drop a review of the podcast on any of the podcast directories that you guys are listening to this from. The reviews, the ratings, they all help grow the Digipreneur FM podcast family across the world, all right? I want to thank you for tuning in to the Digipreneur FM podcast. You guys know the deal. It's your boy, Karan Rose, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care!
You've been listening to the Digiboss, Karan Rose. We hope your notepad was filled after this episode. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. The learning doesn't stop, folks. And to make sure you don't miss any gems from the Digiboss, go over and follow him on all social media platforms at Karan Rose. Folks, don't just sit there with a notepad. We need you to implement at least one thing into your business before the next episode. That's the only way your business levels up. Thanks for listening to Digipreneur FM. Now go be great.